Think about the filters that you need inside of your organization that map to your definition of leader and leadership. Let's take an example of what this might look like. So here is the definition for leader and leadership from Kathy Mazzarelli, the CEO of Graybar. Now, if you remember, her definition is helping others realize their potential and inspiring them to work with you to achieve a shared vision of the future. That is her definition of what it means to be a leader, what it means to practice leadership. So let's think about, if we have this definition, what are some of the filters that we need to make sure that when we hire people and promote people, it maps down to this? So one example of a filter might be someone who supports others. Somebody inside of the organization who believes that their job is to help others, to support others. I think that that is a direct filter that would map down to this definition. Let's take another filter that might map down to that definition. Somebody who is able to work across generations and cultures. Inside of our organizations, we have multiple generations, people who come from different backgrounds, believe in different things. Somebody who is able to work across those generations and cultures, I would say, is somebody who can help others realize their potential and inspire them to work with you to achieve a shared vision of the future. I think that's a great filter to have. Let's take a couple other examples. Someone who is a great storyteller. Of course, when you are helping others realize their potential, you're creating a vision, you're kind of shaping the direction. Having that storytelling ability is going to be essential. So that's another good filter. A couple others here. Strong moral and ethical compass. Somebody who is able to make sure that they're constantly going in the right direction ethically and morally. I would say that that's a fantastic filter for this one. And we'll go for two more. Somebody who is able to deliver results, but doing so by putting people first. So notice, deliver results is still important. We're still talking about somebody who's able to drive profit, somebody who's able to help make sure the business is successful, but this person does so by putting people first and not sacrificing people at the expense of profits. And let's take a look at one more, coaching and mentoring, a great filter to use. And so the way that we think about this, coaching and mentoring, someone who's helping make other people more successful, enabling them to succeed in the organization. So the way that you want to think about these filters is all of these things sort of point to this definition of leadership. I want you to think about it kind of like a sieve. So if you've ever made pasta, if you've ever made a cake and you're kind of adding the powdered sugar on top or draining the water from pasta, you use a sieve, right? You use a filter. And this is kind of like your sieve. And these are the things that you want to make sure that you have so that afterwards, this is the type of person that you get. So the filters that you have inside of your organization are going to dictate how this definition maps out and the type of leaders that you have in your company. Now notice, if these filters were all about making money, individual goals and performance, success and generating new opportunities for the organization, if they were all focused on that, you would see clearly that that is not a good way to map down to this definition. So think about the filters that are required inside of your organization to map to your definition of leadership. And once you have those filters in place, you need to make sure that those filters are practiced. If you're a senior leader inside of your organization, you need to have conversations with your HR teams. You need to have conversations with hiring managers, with people who are running lines of business and say, these are the filters I need to make sure that we have in place so that it maps down to how we as an organization or how I as a leader think about what we should be recruiting for. And I'll give you a very clear example of how this manifests itself in the real world. Look at Microsoft. Look at Microsoft when it was run by Steve Ballmer, and look at Microsoft now after it's being run by Satya Nadella. Ballmer was the typical celebrity CEO. He was constantly focused on competition, on being the best. He wanted to create this kind of know-it-all culture. He was combative, he was competitive. That was the kind of environment that he created. The stack ranking system where employees were forcibly removed from the organization if they were kind of in the bottom tier. It's not a very pleasant place to work. Contrast this to how Satya Nadella runs Microsoft. I mean, he constantly talks about empathy. He talks about moving away from a know-it-all corporate culture to a learn-it-all corporate culture. He talks about his family. In fact, when he first started as the CEO of Microsoft, one of the first things that he shared was stuff about his family and the importance of practicing empathy in the organization. And as a result, you can see visibly how the corporate culture of Microsoft changed, because the definition of leadership changed and these filters changed as far as what they're looking for, who they are promoting inside of the organization. So you can see that this has a profound impact, not just on you as a leader, but also on your organization as a whole.